Okay, I promised my partner that I wouldn't open up with asking you guys how you're doing, so I won't do that, and I'll just introduce myself. My name is Ouigi, the Brooklyn Circus Theodore, and I am creative director of the Brooklyn Circus, which then turned into the BKC, which is a brand that we started out of Brooklyn. I am originally from Brooklyn, actually from Haiti, landed in Brooklyn in 1983. I am really happy to be in front of you guys because 20 years ago or 22 years ago, this would have been a nightmare because I didn't speak English. But I am here as a speaker. I am not a professional speaker, but again, I am a professional error man. I've made tons of mistakes in the business, tons of mistakes in life, and again, I stood right back up and moved on. So I'm here speaking with you. So again, I landed in Brooklyn in 1983. And had a love for art because my mother actually was in an art scene in Haiti, and she was also in commerce. She traveled from Haiti to the Bahamas, to Nassau, back to Haiti, selling arts and crafts, selling masks from Africa, selling masks from Bahamas, selling art from all over the world. She traveled and pretty much did what she wanted to do. So as a kid, I watched that. I lived in Brooklyn, figured out, okay, my mother's traveling, she's all over the world, she's doing a thing, like what was that all about? I got older, got into high school. Actually, in junior high school, about the mid-'80s, I was introduced to graffiti. Of course, Espo, who is actually one of my favorite artists. I think I now found the sign maker to actually create our sign because we've been operating a shop in Brooklyn and also another shop in San Francisco for years. The shop in Brooklyn has no sign. That was our marketing angle. Originally, it was because we had no money to actually pay for a sign. But it then became our marketing angle. Short end of it all, I was introduced to graffiti in the 80s. I was a horrible artist, horrible at graffiti, because again, I would wander off in class and doodle on the desk and write graffiti in the bathroom. Didn't work out. Went to high school, went to Brooklyn Tech High School and decided, okay, I'm gonna major in communications and graphic design because graffiti's not working out because again, I can't leave my house in the middle of the night with my sister's boyfriend to write on the trains or doodle all over the city. I was too young, so that wasn't going to work out. So, okay, cool. I'm in school, I'm in the 9th grade, figured I'd be a graphic artist. Okay, cool. Went through school, graduated from school, I wasn't a graphic artist. All right, now what's the plan? Went off to college. I went to LIU, majored in TV production, and also with the interest of designing and doing something creative. I wanted to be on the scene, I wanted to be creative. Didn't necessarily work out because LIU was too expensive. I was a poor kid from Haiti, from Brooklyn, no money to stay at LIU at $500 a credit in 1995. So I transferred to Stony Brook. I figured I had the personality and wanted to be on campus. I wanted to live on campus. My sister came back one day and told me, oh, she's going to college. She visited schools here. She visited Hampton. She visited Howard. She visited Stony Brook. The school was so big that there was a bus to drive you around campus. She said, all right, cool, that's where I want to be. Yeah, I'm going to go to Stony Brook. Applied to Stony Brook, got accepted to Stony Brook. Stony Brook had no art program, no design program, medicine, it was all medicine and just TLA, the liberal arts. So I decided, okay, so I'm going to major in, how about African studies? Yeah, that was cool. A lot of girls in the classes, big classes, why not? African studies it is, because I wanted to be on campus. I wanted to be in the school, and the school was cheap enough for me to afford being on campus. So, short end of it all, I graduated from Stony Brook in 1998, and I'm out in the world, and my grandmother says to me, so, okay, you graduated college, so what are you? I'm like, okay, I'm a college graduate. What do you mean? She said, oh, you're a doctor, a lawyer, like, what are you, a teacher, what are you? I said, oh, I'm a college graduate. That's big, Grandma, I'm the first to graduate in the family. She's like, oh, okay, cool, so what are you? I went back in my room, sat on my laptop, sat on my computer, no laptops then, sat on my computer and started browsing AOL to figure out what I really wanted to do. Who was I? What was my purpose in life? Because my grandmother was 80 years old. Now, actually, she was 72 at the time. She just turned 90 a couple of weeks ago, God bless her. But she asked me what I was. Like, okay, if Grandma has another 15 years on this earth or another 20, my purpose is to prove to her that I am something and that I am somebody. I'm not just this college graduate going to a 9-to-5 job and trying to figure out, my purpose for the next 40 years and never get to it. So in the meantime, I started buying books, Bibles, all the books. Street vendors are selling Bibles, how-to, books for dummies, Corel Draw for dummies, Adobe Illustrator for dummies. I mean, the whole works. I sat up late nights on my computer, extremely slow PC, and attempted to design. I was like, all right, I want to be a designer. I'm going to become a designer. You know, I can't afford to go to art school yet because grandma wasn't paying for it, because grandma just, you know, I mean, the state paid for me to go to Stony Brook, but grandma didn't have any money to send me to art school. All right, cool. I had loans, trying to figure this out. So I got into a position where I figured, okay, now how about I use my ability to talk to people and move people, which is why I went to Stony Brook, because I was a people person and wanted to be on campus and through parties and so on. Use that ability to actually, you know, move other people and create a career for myself. So I started promoting events. I'm like, all right, I'm going to promote these events in the city. Met a couple of dudes, met actually one of Espo's friends who was Al. Al was actually on the cover of On The Go magazine with his mouth full of gold teeth. I mean, really crazy random guy who toured the world with Kwame as a hip-hop dancer. So I met this guy and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, man. You're a really cool dude, man. What do you do? He's like, oh, I work at Columbia University. Yeah, what do you do there? I'm the Office of Affirmative Action. I'm like, okay, cool. So what are you? He's like, man, listen, man, I toured the world with Kwame. I'm a dancer. I'm like, all right, cool. So you're going to be a dancer your whole life? He's like, nah, I'm a promoter. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't know if I want to do that my whole life. Moved on, decided to, I met a couple of guys in the nightlife. We threw big parties, big events at Hammerstein Ballroom, Madison Square Garden, kickoff. I'm going to fast forward to some of this work, I promise. So we decided, okay, we're going to throw these parties. Parties are done. I'm tired of the party scene. Like, what am I? What am I here to do? My grandmother's still in my ear. So what are you? You're promoting events. You're leaving at 12 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, and you're coming back at 4 in the morning. You're in the house till 12 noon. You know, you're in the room, you're on the computer. What are you? Like, what are you going to do? I'm like, Grandma, I don't want to work a 9 to 5. Finally, I decided to work a 9 to 5. I worked for Deutsche Bank for about 9 months. And again, the same question came up. What am I? Like, what's my purpose? What am I here to do? Because grandma's in my ear, you know, and I'm not paying rent, so grandma's in my ear. So decided again, I'm going to continue practicing my graphic arts. I acquired a group of clients from the nightlife because we started designing our own flyers, our own invites. Like, okay, let's make it different. Let's create themes. Let's give the people something different. Because at the time, all of the invites and the flyers on the scene were about, you know, beautiful women with big butts on the flyer, and that was the attraction. I'm like, nah, listen, man, I love package design. Let's design these packages. Let's design these, you know, concepts for people to actually want to attend the party. Because, I mean, what else could we offer them but, you know, an experience? So anyway, decided to leave the nightlife and open up a store in 2006 with no sign, very little money, and my grandmother still in my ear. So here's the front of a book that we actually worked on about the Brooklyn Circus. And pretty much the Brooklyn Circus is my experience through life in my search, and I'm sure all you guys, many of you guys can relate, my search to figure out who I was, what I wanted to become. So I kind of committed to the thought that I wanted to be a graphic artist. And with the thought of wanting to be a graphic artist, I had to create product around, you know, my work, because I wasn't talented or skilled enough to actually get work in the industry. And I actually went out for a job. I won't say who the company is. I went out for a gig, put together some stuff, met a buddy snowboarding, and put together some stuff. I'm like, all right, I'll put together a portfolio, printed it out, went to Kinko's, got it all together, went to the job, and he looked at me and he said, so are you a graphic artist? I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I am. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, I am. He looked at me and said, listen, buddy, let me tell you something. If you're really interested in graphic design, I suggest you do some more research. I suggest you figure out what you want to do and really take this serious. And I said, really? Why do you say that? I'm not good enough. He's like, what school did you go to? I said, I went to Stony Brook. He said, what'd you major in? I said, African Studies and minor in marketing. He's like, all right, and you want to be a graphic artist, right? Yeah. You don't see the work. The work is there. Didn't work out. I decided to apply to FIT. You know what? I'm going to make this work. I've made the worst things work. I'm going to make this work. Short end of it all, I went to FIT, advertising design major, with a pursuit in graphic design, met some other friends, They thought I had the talent to connect with people and said, hey, Weege, you should open up a store. Why? I don't know anything about retail. Now, open up a store. I think if you put your name, whatever you touch, people will buy because you were able to bring out thousands of people to these events. So you should. And if you do these events again, then people will come to the store and actually buy the product to attend the events. Like, all right, cool idea. So I opened up a store in 2006. The rent was $500. It was on a side street. The landlord looked at me and I told him that, I showed him the business plan. It was, all right, yeah, we're opening up the store. He's like, okay, cool. On this street? I'm like, yeah, Bergen and Evans. He's like, dude, you're crazy. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, there's no foot traffic around here. There's no other stores around here. Why would you open up a store around here? I was back to square one. The Brooklyn Circus, again, is our story as it unfolds through 100 years. I decided to come up with a concept of what the Brooklyn Circus meant to me. I was always inspired by the circus. I wanted to be a graphic artist. I was into people. I was into promotions. I majored in African studies and figured, okay, like, how do I put all of this together to make my grandmother proud or to make my grandmother stop the questioning of who I was? So I figured I'd become the store owner, a graphic designer, designing on the side, and also, this all-around visionary to build this brand. We started building the brand in 2006, met my business partner, Gabe, at FIT. He moved back to San Francisco. I had a store running. We were selling different product at the store, but Broadway was also selling the same product. It was at the peak of the premium industry, and Broadway was selling the same product. So I would always have kids come into the store and they'd say, oh man, yeah, I just saw those jeans on Broadway, man, they were cheaper. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So what's up, you wanna buy them? They're like, nah, they were cheaper, man, give them to me for cheaper. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to pay rent, man. I have no sign outside. I'm on the street, do you wanna buy the jeans? Like, nah, so I went back into my office and figured that, okay, cool. What was it that I could offer the market that was different from what it was that was out there? The Brooklyn Circus. Put all the brands aside, decided to start this business all over again with the angle of recruiting individuals that were just as lost as me and create this environment like the circus where these different individuals were lost and didn't know what they wanted to do. But me as this ringleader, I went through the lost process. I'm still in it now, but I went through the lost process, but I had a cool about myself that I figured that, hey, listen, I'd bring these dudes in and give them a home. Met Kohei, Japanese guy. Linked me up with Japan. We landed in Japan, and I realized that my side street business was actually really cool in Japan. Oh, right. Guy shows up at the store, and he tells me, oh, listen, I want to buy some T-shirts. I'm like, all right, cool. My T-shirts? He's like, yeah. He shows up with a really big bag, and I'm like, man, this dude's a shoplifter. No way. You can't come into this store, this side street store, and you want to buy my T-shirts? He's like, yeah, he wants to buy T-shirts. Actually, I want to distribute your T-shirts in Japan. I pulled Kohei aside. I said, is this guy serious? He's like, yeah, he's really serious. The Brooklyn Circus is big in Japan. I'm like, you're kidding me. We have no sign. Took a flight, went to Japan, landed in Tokyo, took a bus to Shibuya, went online, started this blog that I had running, which is still, apologize for not being able to show you more of the blog, but I'm going to run through the pages real quick because I see peers there. That means I have a 2-minute slot. And this is the inside of our store, the Brooklyn Circus, New York. We now have a shop in New York, San Francisco. We operate at about 35 stores in Japan. We have a distribution situation in Stockholm, Sweden. We had the opportunity to work with G-Shock. We had the opportunity to work with Burrell Communications out of Chicago, work on a Toyota project. We had the opportunity to work with Sebago. We had the opportunity to work with Time Out magazine. I got voted best dressed of 50 individuals in New York City. We covered the cover of 7x7 magazine in San Francisco as the best under 40, the best 20 under 40 in the city of San Francisco. So again, the moral of the story is that I dipped my bucket where I stood. It was about finding myself and figuring out how I can touch other individuals who are looking for themselves and trying to find themselves and introducing them to the concept of dipping your bucket where you stand, which means that, again, when the Amazon River runs into the Atlantic Ocean, there is miles of fresh water, and sometimes you get stranded on the ocean, you get stranded in water, and you're wandering and looking around as a lost ship and trying to figure out where can I get fresh water because I'm on the ocean. But the reality is a lot of the fresh water is at your feet. It's your experience and it's your quest to find yourself that actually provides you with that fresh water. So, as I end this, I'm going to flip through a few more peers. I promise I won't take more of your time. And again, just to show you that again, it was my quest to wanting to be a graphic designer. In 2009, we decided to build a book, a leather-bound book, 12 by 18. It was a book about the Brooklyn Circus experience, and this is what the pages are about. And actually, from front to back, I was the art director, creative director, realized that I wasn't that great of a graphic designer, but I could still be involved in the arts, and I could still be involved in what I wanted to do, which was the arts. And so we hired graphic designers to actually lay it out. I knew what I wanted. So now I'm an art director and creative director of the Brooklyn Circus. I'm not the graphic designer that I wanted to be. I actually did work, but I am actually right where I want to be, which is on that water, the fresh water, in the middle of that ocean, but I know that I can dip my bucket where I stand and actually do what I really love. So, guys, thank you for listening.